This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
And Jeff's appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate that. Joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. All right, buddy boy, you've got the unenviable task of trying to explain what this means for right here in our own backyard. I know you've written at least, I looked it up Friday, you wrote at least 4 or 5 stories on this over the last calendar year. The first thing right off the hop, and Sam mentioned this in our first hour, is that NDSU, regardless of opting in or out, they're going to have to pay between $200 and $300K a year for the back pay of this, just because how the settle and none of the mid majors were involved in this. They weren't allowed to be in the meeting room on that.
Nope, not fair, is it?
So they're going to have to pony up at least that much for the next decade, if I understand correctly, right?
Correct. Yearly for the next decade.
That's not chump change, man.
No, and it's almost like if I go back, North Dakota Higher Ed did a freeze on something several years ago, and they had to cut the athletic department had to cut like so much percentage out of it. So I feel like it's similar to that. Can they make it up? Yeah, I mean they're in a better shape certainly than most mid majors.
It was $800,000. The story you wrote, by the way, it was 2017. It lost in state funding over a 2-year period. Out of your story, I'm quoting here. So that's a sizable amount of money that they
so they've gone through it before, and I don't know if they have a huge endowment. The Bison Athletic Department has $20 million or something.
I believe so. That's what the number you wrote about,
which is way bigger than most. Now I don't think you want to tap into that for this, but I guess you got to tighten the screws on other things, and I don't they'll find ways to come up with $800,000, but. Or
this is
200 a year.
Yeah, at least 200 to 300 a year for the next decade. That's a lot of money, and that might be positions that aren't rehired, Jeff. If people move on or retire, I assume. I know Matt Larson has been planning for this for the better part of a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
The conversations that we've had, I know you've had. This isn't like we're running around with chickens with our head cut off on a Monday. No, but this is going to take a hit.
But yeah, reality hits. Reality is hitting now. So what does this mean for everybody? And it's hard to say. I mean, the poll questions, I would bet it's going to be 80% people have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame anybody for that because I struggle.
Yes.
As I sit here and study it, what it means.
We're in it. Yeah.
What I think it means is there's going to be more BMWs in parking lots of athletic facilities across the country.
Yeah. I don't think
football outside of football locker rooms.
I think
nicer cars.
It also means for the Olympic sports, I would be really worried. About the future of that.
You're gonna have to find a cash cowboy or cowgirl or cowwoman or whatever to fund your program to maintain. Now the pitcher at Texas Tech,
$1 million,
1.1.
Yeah, to leave Stanford to go to Texas Tech, and then she just got another deal, so she's going to come back next year. Najee Kennedy, as you're talking about, who's fantastic. That now is you can't do that anymore. The deal that I'll throw the name out there, Cody Heisman got or Jakari White got, that is no longer allowed according to this. I don't know what the enforcement is yet on it, Kolpack, for a guy like Jakari to get $1.5 million just to. That's why the spending spree was so crazy from April to now, because they knew this was coming, and there's supposedly a clearinghouse that, much like you have to go through a clearinghouse to be eligible to play, this is going to happen to allow for NIL deals.
Yeah, and I guess I quite don't understand the specifics of that. I don't know if everybody,
you're not alone.
If even the schools understand what's the specifics of that. But Jakari White, good timing.
Absolutely. Get in when the getting is good, man. Absolutely right. Because now
Archambault, nice timing.
Yeah.
I mean,
you look at it now where I think it's anything over $600 is going to have to go through this clearinghouse NIL deal. So we're talking. NDSU can probably make those kind of deals, and I know they have with their collective. that has probably right underneath that threshold. But anything above that, and I know there's going to be some football players,
Now,
they're going to have to go through this.
This means collectives aren't going away.
No, correct. They're still going to be. There's still going to be a thing, as Sam mentioned. And I think he makes a good point to basically add on the pot. Like if we've got the $20.5 million for the power,
And the collective is
schools,
above and beyond that.
correct.
And who knows what that'll be. I mean,
Right. It's but now any shred, and you covered college sports now for 40 some odd years. Today or July 1 starts a brand new era because then the schools can actually start paying the athletes. We are now there.
And I do know the athletic department and the Green and the Gold Collective, they've been talking for a while now. I mean, again, this is not blindsiding them either. I mean, there's been several meetings, I do believe, in the planning stages of what to do next. So it's not like Jay Bartley woke up this morning and went, oh, what do I do now? I mean, they've been thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be interested to see what they do.
Yeah. All of this is intriguing. Now, the roster limits is something I know you've written on quite a bit as well, and that was the holdup of the
No,
settlement.
that's grandfathered, correct?
Correct.
But do we know the numbers in football yet?
Not
We
specifically, but I think if you're on a walk-on now, you're going to be basically allowed to come back this season. After this year, I think we're going
It's gonna
down
be
to
graduated,
I think
right.
we're going to down to 105. We're going to be a hard and fast number in football on that.
Yeah, Chris Kleiman was worried he was going to have to cut like 30 guys this spring. So apparently he will not have to do that now.
I'm sure they still did. There were some guys that probably asked it not to come back, but I'm not sure on that.
He called it's going to be one of the worst days of his coaching career.
Yep. So that's real. Basketball now has a limit of 15. I know some had gone over that. Baseball's another one. I know close to your heart on that they had, I think, equivalency of 11 scholarships. Now they can go up to 34 in baseball. And just because you can, like Montana State is opting in on this. That's the big, because that's the only local one to us that is opting in. So if they want to fund 105 scholarships, they can. I don't know where you're getting that money. To go from 63 to 105, that is an astronomical amount of money.
Will NDSU opt in?
I think they're going to want to see what it's like. They want to, because if Montana State, let's say, Jeff, they go to 80 and the Bison are still at 63, that is a decided advantage for Montana State.
Yep. And so that'll play your hand, certainly. And
the flip side of that, though, is if you do that, you got to have the equivalency on the women's side. You have to raise 17 scholarships for women's sports as well if you're going to do that. That is, so okay, that's 34 scholarships there. That is, how much of, I don't know what tuition is going rated at NDSU. That's a lot of cash.
Probably a little more than you and I were there.
That's a lot of cash that you're going to have.
In college, yes.
Talk about finding basically a sugar daddy out there that's got that kind of cash.
Again, I look at the viewer and I'm going, do you really care?
I think they would care once you see the discrepancy on the fields, on the field of play or on the court. Say, wait a minute, they got this many guys and there are this many good guys?
But again, I'm just sitting here on Monday morning, June, what is it? 9th. And, and your loyal viewers, and you have many of them, I just don't know if they give a rip about this right now.
Yeah, I struggle with that this weekend.
Because it's so detailed and so administrative.
I struggle with that this weekend, and I came back to the point of I think it's important. It's important enough to spend today on. I don't beyond. I'm not sure, but today I'm going to spend the 2 hours talking about it because of how big this is going to be for the future of the sport, specifically football, specifically North Dakota State football. I think is why it's important. But I don't disagree with you that it can make your eyes roll the back of your head. Like really, like I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an administrator. I like to cover the games, and I cover this much stuff as I do the actual competition.
And I struggle writing about it too, because how much do you get into? I've read stories from national publications. I mean, these got to be like 4,000 words long.
Yeah.
And I'm just going,
right?
At what point do you want to continue reading?
Where you cut it off. Correct.
Well, I force myself because I need to be, somewhat versed as well as I can in the subject. But when I write these things and I think about the readers, I think, okay, after 700 words, see ya.
Attention span is probably
bye.
Yeah, unless it's something really engrossing to that particular reader or
Puts
viewer.
a little pressure on the first 300 words, doesn't it?
You better get to the point and better get there pretty darn quick. Email comes in. Dom, we've been begging for some guidelines and guardrails on NIL payouts, and it appears to me the NIL clearinghouse gives us that as the players now have to do something to get their money. Isn't this a good thing? I would agree on the premise. The execution of it and the enforcement of it, nobody has an answer on that yet.
Nope.
Nobody does. I mean, they've hired this executive of Major League Baseball, Brian Seeley is his name, to be basically the judge on it, and I don't know what power does he have, Kolpack, if you violate it?
So I do my NIL agreement, and I write on the dotted line, and I agree to do 3 commercials and do some social service work for a local charity. And if I don't do it,
right, what's the enforcement part of that, right? And on the other side of it, what if I go over the limit of my NIL deal and I don't go through? What happens then? I don't know. I don't know how you
what
enforce
about
this.
Your own deals on the side? Do you have to go through the university on everything now?
I would think yes. I would think that's correct. But up to a certain payment amount,
the
then you have to go to
enforcement?
the clearinghouse.
Say
I don't
Shadur
know.
Sanders inks up with Nike, and he forgot to go through the University of Colorado last year. If this was in place,
Yep.
Who's going to say what?
We don't have the answer to that, and that I mentioned that off the top of the show that there's more lawsuits to come. There's more hand wringing on this to come. Just because it got signed off means other things can happen, but we still have a lot of question marks, a lot of them, Jeff, that we just don't. It's verbal vomit right now.
Let's go to the commercial before all the viewers say, screw this subject.
Eric found this, by the way. Cost of attendance at NDSU for 24-25 was $33,000. Okay, so if you're going to add, let's say, 34.
What do you mean 33 for what?
For scholarship for the year. That's
per
tuition.
person?
Tuition, 33,000. Yeah.
No, 3,400.
No, but tuition is 33,000 a year, I believe. That includes tuition.
Must be out of state.
Fees, room, and board. Right. In state is 9,000. Out of state, 13,000 for tuition. That's just tuition. So.
But the athletes at cost of attendance are still getting, if you're full ride, 3,400 a year,
right?
Or 3,800.
I'm just talking the whole kit and caboodle. If you're a student, there, $33,000. So if you're raising, 34 more scholarships, I'm not great on math off the top of my head. So yeah, there you go. It's over $1 million that they've got to go raise if they're going to, if they see Montana. If we go throughout this season and Montana State's really good again, and they've opted in. And they've funded above 63. Let's just say they go to 70. And we see a clear delineation on the field. Well, wait a minute. They were able to put these guys on scholarship. NDSU's going to have to. They're going to have to. And South Dakota State will be in the same boat.
I don't think they're going to wait to see any delineation on the field. I think if they see Montana State going 80, they're going to go 80.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think NDSU is going to wait around that long.
Last thing on this, and we'll go to break.
I think they're going to go in. So sooner than later.
Larson said they're not this year, but they have until June 15th. They have till Sunday if they want to change their mind.
I think I would bet there's some discussions going on this week. No doubt.
Yeah. And if they don't, it's not permanent. This time next year,
it's a year-to-year decision.
That was my last point on this, because I had people asking, well, if you don't now, does it mean it's over and done? No, it's a yearly deal. And that's why I think you're going to see a lot of teams in the mid-major level see what it's at, and then assess, can we get there? Can we raise that kind of money to be in this?
Boy, it can't be a lot of schools at the mid-major level. It cannot.
FCS right now is 20, we've counted, that have done
20
it.
have opted in.
That
doesn't mean they're going to do 100 scholarships.
Correct. Again, that doesn't mean that you can do that. So I wanted to point that out. The next topic we come back is your favorite, realignment, because we had that happen last week too.
Can I have that dull pencil and poke my eye out, please?
Back with Jeff Kolpack here on a Monday morning. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, we've fully flushed out that topic. We'll do more on it here in about 20 minutes.
Now that we're done banging our head against this wall in the commercial break.
Matt Larson has a coaching hire to make. Steve Kennedy. We had Steve on the show on Thursday announcing that he's retiring. Before we get to who could be next, Steve is a fixture in North Dakota golf for 4 decades, obviously from his time at South with 12 titles in 18 years, which is ridiculous, to the 12 years at NDSU. Just a fixture that we're going to miss not seeing on the golf course all the time now.
The greatest tenure of coaching golf in Fargo history. I don't know who else would be better.
There's no one else on that.
How many state eight titles? 8 state titles? 10?
12, I thought it was. I thought it was 12 and 18, wasn't it?
12 and 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And then taking NDSU to a pretty good program. Pretty good program.
To win the Summit League championship in golf as a team, I don't know if I ever thought that I'd see that. And the Bison ended up doing that in 2018.
Yeah, you don't practice outside until you get south.
No.
Until your first meet of the spring.
And the fact that obviously his name will always be attached with Tom Hoagie, but the other greats that he coached, and Ben Freeman was a really good golfer. There was a bunch of guys that went through it south were really good.
There's a good several guys who gave the minor tours a shot, pro golf a shot.
Well, Schultz comes right down. Obviously, Dave Schultz was right there.
Kane Hansen.
Think of that run in South.
Did the Dodens play under him?
I don't know about that. But that's just an unreal. Those three that we just mentioned all did, and we're all really, really, really good golfers. I'm intrigued on who gets this job. That's one last thing on Steve, because he made sure that he expanded that reach, and he mentioned this to me on the show Thursday, that it's going to get harder now, Dom, with St. Thomas in the mix, because the Bison would have their field day, Jeff, of the Twin Cities golfers to come. The homegrowns come right to mind that came up here. That's not. I don't know how, with all the other sports, St. Thomas is right in the mix as well with men's golf.
Well, they are, and I guess you got to money, facilities. What does St. Thomas have? Do they have an indoor you can hack at 100 yards?
It's coming, yeah, it's coming, and they have. They're there. It's location. That's the big thing on St. Thomas. But that was the thing that Kennedy was able to get, was the level of player, I thought, especially locally. You look at Nate DeZiel from East Grand Forks. The Holmgrens obviously come right to mind. Ian Simonich here from Moorhead.
Andrew Israelson from Staples.
He mentioned that. Israelson was the game changer, he said. Getting Izzy to come here was a major deal in why Bison men's golf got to the way it was.
And it's a testament to, I think, the administration for letting them travel like they do.
Oh, man.
And what did he say when he told me the travel's the reason he retired?
Yeah.
I mean, he goes, travel just got to be too much. You're getting up at 2, 3 a.m. for flights. He was gone I don't know. I can't remember how many days.
I think he said 67 days.
Something like that. Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot. I'm intrigued. Who gets this job? You know the golf world.
Oh.
Is this a name we know, or do you think that's something that we go out of the box here?
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, I don't even. I couldn't even tell you.
Just in your connections in the local golf world, is there anybody that come to mind and say, boy, that might be, because I would think, doesn't necessarily young, but mid-30s, that kind of age could be the next person to take over that program. If there's anybody that comes to mind on that.
I know. Would Dave want to take it over?
That's the name I thought of. I think he's got a pretty good job.
That's what I mean.
Right now at
how do you
FCC?
balance that job with this?
I don't think you can.
And he's got 3 young girls. I don't think he'd be gone that long.
That's a full-time job. That's the other thing I think that Kennedy was ready to be done with. It's not just the actual golf season. It's recruiting, and then it's the fall. I mean, it's a lot. Like anything in Division I, it's a lot right now. That's what I'm intrigued to see who the next.
I think you got to expand what you're thinking just locally. I do. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches across the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. It's a good program too, and they've got everything you just said. They have an indoor facility they can work at. They've got their indoor putting green that they have as well, which is up in the top floor of the
It'd be nice if you could find somebody who has proven to retain Midwest golfers.
Yep.
Because that's what Steve did.
Yes.
He did that really well.
Yep. And knows full well also the level of talent that's here, that's coming up through the pipe that you've got to know. We've covered on this show.
Junior golf
really
in North
good.
Dakota is booming.
Yeah, it's really, really good right now. Okay, the other topic I wanted to hit on was your other favorite, and that's the realignment wheel is spinning again. Your friends out at Utah Valley.
Oh, they went to the Big West.
Have you been to Utah Valley? You've been to Orem?
No.
You've been to Cedar City. You haven't been to Orem.
Been to Cedar City 3 or 4 times, maybe.
Because they're back in the news, because Southern Utah now needs a home. Southern Utah and Utah Tech are floating out there in the WAC with UT Arlington, Tarleton State, and Abilene Christian.
Well,
they need homes.
I wouldn't mind with Southern Utah back in the Summit.
Oh, they're bad. I don't want to know.
But I have a bar membership in Cedar City that I bought for $5.
Is it still good?
I think it's a lifetime membership. You have to buy a membership out there. Did you know that? Just to walk in and
I did not
have
know
a cold
that.
one. Yeah.
That predates
I don't know if
my,
that's still.
that predates my
It's been a
travel
while
days with
since I've been there.
Say 2006, I think is the last time the Bison played
Oh,
out
and by
there.
the way, it closed at like 9:30. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, I remember when we went to Weber, everything was closing down when we were out there
Yeah.
because that was a night game when the Bison played in Ogden. I looked, though, on a serious note, at those Texas schools. We saw Abilene. We know they're committed to play football. Tarleton certainly has a commitment to play football. If I'm Josh Fenton, we need more teams. We've got 9. You go add 3. Suddenly, Jeff, the Summit's at 12, and we've got some stability finally, maybe in this league.
You keep it to the middle quarter of the
Right?
country too, which is the time zone theory.
Absolutely.
And Texas is not that far. It's not.
And it's, by the way, Oral Roberts in Kansas City would love that. Oral Roberts in Denver would say, all right, in Omaha, hey, we've got somebody closer that we're not going north all the time. We've got potential to go south. And if I'm the new football commissioner, if I'm Jeff Jackson, I look at those schools, I'm like, they can help us. And by the way, if you bring those 2 in, because Arlington doesn't sponsor football, suddenly you got 12 football schools. Can you dream of divisions in the Missouri Valley Football Conference?
Well, and plus I think you need to add, because
yes.
are we confident that other schools will remain in the Valley? Youngstown, it's always been out there.
Well, and North Dakota State's name obviously is out there too, because
going FBS.
Right.
Yeah.
That's out there that if you want to, and Tarleton has certainly been a candidate to be thrown about. I think if the Summit for so long, you and I have talked about this, has been picked at. Now they can finally be in a position of strength. No, we're going to go get somebody and stabilize our league rather than be, reactive. Let's go and be proactive on this.
Doesn't it feel like that NDSU FBS has just died off, that talk?
It certainly did with Northern Illinois' move.
Yep.
Now, with this settlement, there's the weird language, and Sam talked about in the first hour about that there could be, a temporary window to allow an ease of transition. I don't know what that means, but until somebody's willing to open up the doors, I mean, that door is closed, and that's why the talk is donezo on
Did
it.
a tick story on the Bison Citadel game last week, and Citadel's opening 800 tickets to NDSU fans in a section, which is a lot more than most.
That's a sizable amount.
And their stadium seats 11,500, and they drew about 10. They pack it. I mean, it'll be a good atmosphere.
We had their head coach and AD on when we hit the 100-day mark, and they're beyond excited. The head coach, Maurice Straighton, I have a story on this on Inforum this week. He was the one who wanted the game. It wasn't the previous AD. He told me, he's like, no, I want this game. This is where we have got to get to, aspire to. The Citadel was pretty darn good in football up until maybe the last decade. That they were one of the better teams in that league in the SoCon when App State was there and Georgia Southern was there. That they want to get back on that plateau of being better in FCS football.
It's going to be hot. Ooh, it's going to be steamy hot.
It's going to be muggy, and the field is definitely going to be
How many
warm
players
as well,
will the Bison take, non-conference? 75? They're going to take – you're going to want to take as many as you can.
Correct. They'll take – that plane will be packed on the way down to South Carolina. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The Nashville ticket sales don't open until early August. Is that what I read?
Yep.
That's odd, isn't it?
Why would you open it now?
I mean,
people are already making plans.
That was my other
them to
question.
buy tickets.
Yeah, if you're making plans now,
and they
especially
are
some that are going to want to do the double, that are going to go to Charleston and then go to Nashville the following week, then what's the holdup?
Yeah, I feel like the Nashville momentum's picked up within the last month.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued on that.
So what? Yeah, if you're Tennessee State,
what are you waiting for? Yeah, let's
Windows
go.
open, man.
I don't know how many people will be at that game. I'm really skeptical on that because after the U.S. Bank experience and how would they have 20,000? It wasn't nearly what NDSU was hoping for.
Yeah,
I don't
69,000
right.
at Nissan seats.
Right. I don't. You think we're going to get to 20? Because I do not.
15. 15.
I'll set the under over. I'll go under then. If you're saying 15, I don't think we're going to get there, but
okay.
I'll be pleasantly surprised if that's the case.
Well, if Allegiant would lower their prices in the next month, you might get to 15.
Maybe they can get an NIL deal. Everybody else is now, right? There you go. Great stuff, bud. Thanks for coming by.
Have a good week, Dom.
You have a great vacation as well. We'll see you in a couple weeks, all right? Jeff Kolpack joining us here each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. We come back. I have some graphics we can throw out here to try and explain better what the House settlement means going forward. We'll do that when we come back on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this.